How we doing, guys? And welcome to another episode of Unpopular Opinion. It's your host, as always, Big John Silver, IG _ King _ Train _ 0915. I appreciate all the love I'm getting on all the episodes. Each time I'm humbled by the love and the support. I appreciate it so much. Each time I drop a new episode, I either have more viewers or more comments, which is awesome. I'm trying to think of new, make sure I keep it fresh with new subject matter, things like that, different subjects. I don't want it to be just rap based, multiple subjects, but I'm just thinking about, over the past and years that, things I've heard I disagree with, talk about those kind of things. So one of the things that I've always debated with, is like Disney movies. I'm a huge Disney fan. If anyone doesn't know, huge Disney fan. I mean, I'm talking old school Disney, not even since the Marvel merger and all that stuff, even though I love that. I'm a huge Disney fan. I got, some of my favorites and stuff, but I own almost all Disney movies. I honestly, the only Disney movies I don't like are probably anything pre-Little Mermaid. I'm just not a fan of, like Sleeping Beauty, Dumbo, Pinocchio, Snow White. I watched them as a kid. They just don't, I don't think they're good movies overall. I respect the drawing, the artistry done at the time and how they made it, but as far as movies go, I could do without them. It's not a big deal. But like Little Mermaid and on, oh my God, I love those movies. I love those movies. So one of the subjects I brought up was, what's the greatest Disney movie of all time? I put that on my IG, see what you're going with. I knew where it was going. Usually when I do the episode, I know where it's going to go. I have an idea where it's going to go. Except for the Star Wars one, I'm usually never surprised with the answers. So I saw that and I was like, all right, well, let's target this real quick. So, I'm not going to go over all Disney movies. There's just too many to go over. And again, don't forget, this is unpopular opinion, but it is at the end of the day just my opinion. So there's no way I could prove to you that the movie you chose is not the best of all time. There's no way to prove that. Like there's honestly no way. My whole thought process is, except for my few people I know, like I have, a couple people, like I know my cousin, they have sentimental reasons towards a certain movie. No matter how good a movie is or how bad a movie is, it could have plot holes. It could have, bad acting, bad script writing, a bunch of, contradictions. Doesn't matter. If that movie has sentimental attachment to it, it's almost always going to be your favorite. And I respect and understand that fully. Some of my favorite movies of all time are movies that I have a special hold on because it's something that happened to me in life or something like that, or something that was going on at the time. So even though it's not a great movie, to me, it's an excellent movie because of, what it means to me. So I fully understand that. But as far as the general consensus goes, the answer I get all the time, and I've seen people say it all the time, is The Lion King, and I just don't agree. I mean, I think Lion King is definitely one of the top movies. It's definitely 100% in my top 10. It actually probably is in my top 5 overall when I think about it. But I have to really, really think hard. It might fall in that top 7, but it could be possibly in my top 5. But to go after the movie itself, I'll just talk about, some of the basics overall. The movie itself, it's a good film. I love the way it was done. It was well drawn, well thought out overall. When it comes to a cartoon movie, as long as the dubbing of the voice and the character moving, there's no such thing as real bad acting. So you can't really judge it like you judge a live action movie. But you could judge like plot holes, the movie itself not making sense, or character development, story. And I do think that a lot of people don't realize how much Lion King is actually lacking in that. You don't really get a deep dive or much of character development in the movie. Like in my opinion, the most character development you get in that movie is the 30 seconds of Timon explaining that his gas scared everyone away, and that's why he doesn't really have no friends. And Pumbaa, and then you have Timon explaining his 30 seconds of who they are. That's not real plot development. That's not real understanding of a character. And I'll bring up that in a minute when I start breaking down certain parts. But as a movie itself, there's not much deep development besides the main character. You don't get a huge deep development on any of the characters. A real backdrop, or even their main villain Scar. You don't get a huge breakdown. All you get is the quick thing that obviously, okay, he's jealous. That's all you get from it. You don't get a huge breakdown in the movie. So I just don't see what other people saw. I see the movie. I enjoy the movie. I watched it numerous times. I own it. I actually watched it the other day because my daughter currently just discovered Toy Story and Lion King, so she's want to listen to them, watch them. I definitely support. I just got her like a Hakuna Matata blanket. So it's no hate on the movie itself. I just don't think it's high ranked that people put it. But majority of my poll answers on my IG, when people answered, Lion King, like across the board, was named. So that's my whole thing with that. So I want to, target that a little bit just to change the mindscape, the way people think of things. Again, I'm not trying to change your opinion. I'm just trying to say maybe the reasons why you picked that movie, there's some holes there you should pay attention to. So, So one of the things, off the bat that bothered me with the movie is so I always thought it was funny that, Mufasa dies, and when Mufasa dies, like Simba's all sad and everything like that, and he's all, obviously, your pops died. I understand you're sad, but like my man, you were literally like 15 minutes ago singing that you just can't wait to be king, and you were like waiting. You were not necessarily plotting on his demise, but you were like, yo, listen, I can't wait to be king. Let my dad die so I can run this shit. Like you literally were just, you had a nice little musical number about how you can't wait to be king. So I always thought that was pretty funny overall. I'm not saying, it's not contradictory or anything. It develops the movie. Of course, he said his dad died. But as as a quick funny thing though, I always thought that was funny. That like he's like, yeah, I just can't wait to be a king. But it's like, yo, my man, why you crying now though? Now you king, you should be happy. And a few things, for the movie itself that makes sense to me. Like for instance, the stampede. In real life, the stampede makes sense, but in the movie, it didn't for me. Only because in the movie, all the animals were aware that Mufasa was the king. He ran shit. That was his. They worked for him. That was his. His land. So one, when they're stampeding, you feel like no matter, I know how a stampede works. They would see the king and be like, oh shit, that's the king. There's only two lions in the whole motherfucker. It's Scar and it's Mufasa. So they'd see the king like, yo, I can't keep running because that's the king right there. I gotta stop. Two, the way natural selection works and animals overall with predators, the wildebeest would definitely not run toward the lion instead of the hyena. You know what I mean? They would actually go after the hyenas. They would team up on the hyenas versus the lion. They want no parts of the lion. Even one lion, they want no parts of compared to a pack of hyenas. But that's just my own feeling on the thing. So that's something that, I always thought I found kind of weird and tricky. And then my biggest problem, like I was saying before, is just plot development and character development. There's not much in the movie. Like my personal favorite movie of all time for Disney is Finding Nemo. I love Finding Nemo. I think it was well done, well written overall. They made you care so much that, like, again, they did a spinoff. They did their own Dory kind of thing. They added the characters in, but it was still a Dory movie. And there's still talk about them doing the fish tank characters in their own movie. Like they're able to build and spin off. Whereas and it did well. Like the Dory movie, Finding Dory did excellent. Where Lion King doesn't have that. Like no one's gonna it's Disney, so it will sell. And maybe nowadays a little help, but no one's gonna go watch a Nala movie. You know what I mean? No one. Timon and Pumbaa, the movie themselves didn't do well. Their TV show did alright, but their movie itself didn't do well. And nobody still I worked at Best Buy for a long time, and no one came looking for the Timon and Pumbaa movie. That was not something that people were like, oh, you got that? So, and I think part of it was because of character development. Like people liked the characters because they were cool, but when you actually have character development, and just because it's a kids movie, technically, doesn't mean you don't have to have character development. You do. That's an extremely important part of any movie. When you get past the good songs and the colorfulness of the movie, you need something. You need you need a plot. You need a story. You need character development, and that movie just lacks it, in my opinion. So like for instance, one of the things is that like Timon and Pumbaa, they didn't really have any reason to even help Simba in the first place. Like they were all about themselves. They were selfish ones, and so usually a movie has something like that where it's like they have to he did something, and now they're like, oh, Timon and Pumbaa are like, oh, you know what? I can't be selfish anymore. I need to help this lion or whatever. But they really didn't have that in this. Like they were selfish characters that only care about themselves. They had no reason to really help Simba in the first place, or any reason to help him go back to being the thing. So it's just that part was bothering me. And then my thing, kind of like my Star Wars thing with Luke and Leia. Like my thing is that if you follow the movie, again, there's only two lions. There's Scar and there's Mufasa. So technically, Nala and Simba are related. So that whole love thing is just weird. Like there's no way that they didn't come from one of those two loins. So they're related. There's no way around it. They're related. That's disgusting. If I'm wrong, please feel free to comment and tell me how Nala came to be. But Nala pops is either Mufasa getting some on the low, or that Scar was knocking that moms down, because the rest were all lioness. Only two lions in the whole entire group. So that's always been something that always bothered me as well. As I got older, as a kid, you don't really get it, but as I got older, it always bothered me. So then you have that. Then you have, in my opinion, you have the fact that when Simba first comes back to the Pride, no one begins to flip or say anything to Scar Like Scar was like, yo, like he's dead, like he died, he's dead, and no one questioned like, all right, cool, you're our king now, he's dead, you're our king. Then he pops back. No one was like, hey, Scar, you lied to us. He's clearly alive, um, or anything like that. Instead, it was all just like, oh no, we work for Scar now. Very few people want to rebel. It was like no one really questioned it. I feel like people should have questioned it, like, hey, like you said Simba died. Simba's clearly here. You're a liar. You must have killed Mufasa. Like, but instead it was a whole thing where it's like, oh, I'm not sure, and I got to follow him. He's the king now. I got to listen. So that always bothered me as well. So I just felt like there was a few plot holes in the movie overall, and like I said, the movie's good. It's definitely a great movie. But when you start adding up, like Disney definitely got better as it went on. So when you start adding in movies like Finding Nemo, Monster Inc. was a really well done movie. Up is a phenomenal movie. We're not even gonna talk about the Toy Story franchise. Like the Toy Story franchise as a franchise is just something in general are just great movies. But the emotional attachment behind them, you know, is huge. Then Coco. If you've seen Coco, Coco to me is one of the best Disney movies made in a very long time. And besides Finding Nemo, which is my personal favorite, I think Coco was probably the best movie made from Disney in like the last 10 years. Like I think they did a phenomenal job with Coco. Even Wall-E, like that movie don't get the love it deserves. There's so much deep messaging behind that movie that it's just phenomenal. But like I said, I mean, Up is another one. Like they did a better job. So obviously, as the movies start getting better character development. I'm not even talking about the way they look, because obviously with technology changing, they're gonna look better. I'm talking about the actual story writing, character development, the plots. All that stuff is a lot better in the later Disney movies. So although yes, there's newer stuff, there's newer stories, you can't hold the past up to this level and be like, oh well, no one could touch it because it's the past. Just like my argument with the whole Biggie thing. If you watch the previous episodes, that happened. That's the past. But now newer movies are taking over, and they do have better development, better stories, better writing, and they are making a more of an actual impactful movie. Up is a movie. Like if they weren't cartoons, they were live action, still would have the same emotional impact on you because the way they did the movie. Where I feel like Lion King doesn't have that. There's, obviously Mufasa dying is an emotional part as a kid. As an adult, like he just dies. Like he died. When the dude in Up's wife died, it's pretty sad. When Coco starts remembering her pops and starts singing, I want to cry. In Toy Story, when they're all getting pushed into the incinerator, I want to cry. It drove real emotion out of an adult. You know what I mean? And that part is literally. A lot of people share that opinion with me because I've heard a lot of people talk about how this particular scene in Coco made me want to cry. This particular thing in Toy Story made me want to cry. With Lion King, it's really just the Mufasa dying part with the dad connection. And most people I talk to either have a great dad relationship or they have a terrible dad relationship, and they feel a certain way about that movie. Lion King. But other than that, if you just had a regular relationship with your pops, you grew up with your pops, you love each other, and it's that kind of thing, there's not the huge same emotional connection that most people have with that part. So as an adult, I don't see many adults wanting to cry for Mufasa falling off the cliff. Like, what I mean, that's how I feel. I do feel the movie for its time was great, but I feel like if a lot of people look back and rewatch the movie and actually watch it for its story and the way they've done it, the way they told it, I don't think that a lot of people would still agree it's the greatest Disney movie of all time. But yet, here we are, 2019. I put up the poll, and most people's answers was Lion King, Lion King, Lion King, Lion King. I got one Little Mermaid, I got one Beauty and the Beast, I got a couple Toy Stories, and I got there was one more I got that I thought was pretty interesting. I can't remember which one, but it was one that's not even a huge popular movie, so I was surprised that someone had it on there. But it was good though. It was like Tarzan, I think it was, that someone put in. I just thought that was like, I mean, it was a pretty good movie, but not in my opinion. But yeah, so let me know what you guys think. Feel free to comment. And again, if I'm missing something, or maybe I explained something wrong, or maybe I missed something, I didn't understand something in Lion King, which could be possible. Maybe I overlooked something for my story or my plot holes or what I mentioned. Please let me know, comment, tell me about it, and I'll rewatch the film and be like, oh, maybe I'm wrong, but I literally just watched it. Like I said, my daughter currently is in love with the movie. She's enjoying it. She had me buy her this freaking thing. Like she loves it. So I understand the impact overall, but nah. Again, this is Big John Silver representing 2021 Vision. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your love and support. Until next episode, see you guys later. Peace.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the show, hit the like button. Share it. Tell your friends about it. Let them know what's going on. Also, hit subscribe and the bell to be notified when new content is loaded, because there's much, much more to come.